G'day everyone, I'm Smokescreen and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to the GT World Series Nations Cup. We're still in the exhibition portion of the year, and we're at season number 3. Now this is way back, this is round 1 of the Nations Cup. It's taken me a little while to get it to you, I do apologise, but we are finally here. We are driving the 1970 Citroen DS21 Palace around Maggiore East End, which is a bit of a strange, unique combination, and it's not the original combination that we were preparing for initially. You may remember one of my recent videos where I think it was the Duality of M, that video, where it switched over to Nürburgring GP halfway through round number 1 of the Manufacturers Cup. Pretty much the same thing happened here. It was in lieu of a pit stop issue that was discovered at Grand Valley, which had just been added to the game in the very same update that this car appeared here today. So they discovered the pit stop bug, so they're like, okay, we're going to have to scrap Grand Valley till we fix this bug, and that meant that the track for round 1 of this Nations Cup here also changed. So we were initially going to be at Grand Valley South, but we are instead at Maggiore East End, which I thought was the biggest downgrade in the history of downgrades, because I don't know if it's a secret, but as of today it's no longer going to be if it was. I'm not a big fan of these Maggiore ends. I think they're both the East End and the West End are just added to the game to bolster up the number of tracks for marketing purposes, because they're both reversible. So essentially, just by creating these tiny little innocuous tracks, they've managed to increase the track count by 4 in terms of trying to sell the game, which I guess I can appreciate from a business perspective, but from a gaming perspective, these tracks don't really offer too much. In terms of this combination here today, it offered a whopping 2 braking zones, the second of which we are heading into now in the form of turn 8, which is normally turn number 5 on the main track on the GP layout. But it's the final corner here. That was our first qualifying lap. We're going to come up across the line and see what it is. It wasn't a perfect lap. I think we particularly lost a lot of time at the turn 4 hairpin. There we go. It's a 1 minute 0.9, which is provisional pole for the moment. But we'll see how we go through this second lap here. Another chance at a flying lap here as we head into turn number 4 again, and we get a half-second penalty. I think we cut turn number 2 a little bit too much, just grazed all 4 wheels across the grass at one stage during that lap, so we are going to have to serve that half-second penalty. We had to serve it on the following lap too, because we got it sort of too close to the penalty serving zone such that the penalty serving process didn't begin, and during all that time Dazza has managed to grab pole position by 0.3 of a second. We let both Dazza and Bob through here, but then Bob makes a bit of a mistake at the final turn, gets himself a half-second penalty. It looks like he's kind of pulling off the racing line here, but he comes back across. Mate, what are you doing? What? Oh my god, mate, what are you doing? Oh, for God's sake! What is that? Obviously very frustrating that I've had my last attempt at a qualification lap impeded, and I've kind of just let him know that fact just by bumping him off the circuit. I did that on purpose, and I'll put my hand up for that. Not the cleanest little move from me there, but I was so frustrated. I just can't understand it. You're sitting here in a quali session, you got yourself a penalty, your lap's done. As soon as you get the penalty that you're going to serve on the lap, that's it, you qualify. In fact, as soon as you get a penalty, your lap is done, because you're either going to serve it on the lap you're currently on, or it's going to not count. The lap is going to be invalid. It's going to invalidate the lap if you finish the lap with a penalty. So I don't understand what is coursing through the neurons of mighty Bob there. I got no patience for that. I get extremely frustrated when quality is impeded in just such a stupid manner. I'm really, you can tell I'm very frustrated by it, and you know, you may look at it, you're still on the front row, it's all good, like I know it's all good, but it's just the principle, it's just like the thought, it's just, it doesn't process, it doesn't compute to me. It's day 1 stuff. You know, if your quali lap's no good, you get out of the bloody way. I've got no patience for it, which is why I get so frustrated by it. But then coming into turn 1, oh, see you later, mate. That's Bob's karma done and dusted. So don't even have to worry about him. And you know, I was listening back to that laugh I did there, and it sounded very sinister and kind of, I don't know, just unnecessarily judgmental. But like, I'm sorry. I think at the time I was kind of just like, well, okay, well, that's your karma, mate. But by the end of this first lap, it's been an okay first lap. Luckily, we didn't get caught up in that first hairpin incident. Dazza doesn't quite carry the momentum through the final turn, and it's quite hard to actually carry the momentum, so I can kind of understand that. But we get straight up the inside at turn number 1, and that is us up into the lead. So the rest of this lap is just going to be making sure we can consolidate this lead, making sure we can open up that gap. I was obviously feeling a little bit frustrated because I'm sure I would have been able to get a pole position in this combination had I been able to actually get a clean second go in at a qualifying lap. So I was sitting here expecting to be a little bit faster than Dazza at this stage, so let's see if we can manage to do that as we round out turn 7 out onto the back straight. That gap is opening up just slightly. It's up to half a second at this stage, and we'll see how that goes once we head through this bottom hairpin. We'll see what the see what the gap does. Once again, difficult to carry the speed through here, but you're looking for an apex speed of about 100 k's an hour. He's now ducked down to 98 there, but Daz has got himself a penalty actually, so that's going to be good news for us. So he's going to have to serve that on the back straight. We've got another about half a lap or so just to make sure he manages to stay behind, because it is looking like maybe I am a little bit faster than Dazza, but he's not that far off the pace, to be honest. So he probably would have given me a good run for my money if he didn't get himself that penalty. He is going to have to serve that as we head out onto the back straight. That gap still about 0.4 of a second as we head back up the hill over the top of the crest at turn 5, and then through turn 6 is this little left-hander into turn 7. I don't even call this a braking zone. I mentioned before there's 2 braking zones. There's actually 3 parts of the lap where you touch the brake, but that counts as one of those, and I don't quite call it a braking zone because you're just brushing the brake to scrub off a bit of speed, and that's how you get through there. Out onto the back straight, Dazza serves his penalty. Gap opens up to about 0.8 of a second and leaves Hotspot Racing into second place. But we get a decent hairpin at the bottom of the hill there. Perfect apex speed, 100 k's an hour was our minimum apex speed through there, and that translates to that gap behind Hotspot Racing opening up by a couple of tenths, and we managed to set a 101.1 as the current fastest lap of the race as we begin lap number 4. And really that was the entire race. We managed to finish that one by 7 seconds, and it's actually a bit unique because you may look at this and think, well, you know, there's not any of the usual names there, a bit of a quiet round, and that is due to the nature of the combo, and it's because I was only also able to do 1 slot. So that's why I'm showing you this race, because this is the one and only slot I was actually available to do. I was very busy on this particular day. I had work right up until the start of this slot, and I managed to just get home in time, and then I had to leave home again pretty much directly after this slot. I literally had like a 1.5 hour window where I was actually at home, and I spent like an hour of that doing this slot. So this was all I was able to manage. It was a victory nonetheless, and I was always kind of interested to see how this combo was, because I'm not afraid of these slow road cars, so I was just thinking, oh, we'll give it a go. 194 points there for our troubles, and that's kind of about what I expected, to be honest, because the level of competition in terms of the drivers I normally race, it just wasn't there for this particular slot. So given that, I think I wasn't expecting a huge haul of points, given that people with the high DR didn't really show up to boost up those points. So that was all I really managed to do for that combo, a victory, but we'll take it. Let's have a look at this replay then, because I decided, well, you know, there's going to be like an 8-minute video if I just show exactly what happened to me. So let's see what happened across the field. Obviously, the first thing we have to look at is poor old Mighty Bob here and see what happened at the first hairpin. I think I said it was turn 1 before. It's technically turn 4, but it's the first braking zone of the track, so turn 1 proper, I guess is what you'd call that. But yeah, he's just been run into the back of. It wasn't even his fault, so maybe me laughing at him maniacally, is that how you pronounce that word? We'll just go with it. Was a bit harsh. Maybe I was a bit harsh, but it's just, like I said before, I've just got no patience for people impeding in qualifying. I've just got none for it, because it's so obvious. It's common sense to me, but clearly not to everybody else. But let's have a look. The Giz here is actually run into the back of the green car, which Constantine had up and punted the green car into Mighty Bob, and he's been absolutely shafted. because ordinarily the car that you hit will be the one that goes off the track, but luckily the green car transferred all of that momentum to Mighty Bob, and he had no other cars to hit, so he was the one that ended up getting shafted, and he drops right back down into 8th. Another thing we're going to have to look at, let's see what happened to Dazza, so that I was able to get this move done, the race winning move, we'll call it. He actually doesn't make any glaring errors there. It's just a simple fact he didn't carry the momentum that I managed to, and you can see he doesn't cover the inside, but I think in any case I would have been able to get around the outside anyway. So he gives us the inside. Check out that livery, by the way. Back to the Future fans will know what this livery is. It's the livery that was in the 2015 Taxi in Back to the Future 2 that old Biff Tannen used to follow the DeLorean in Hill Valley. I saw that and I was like, oh, I gotta grab that, because there was a lot of like classic rallying liveries from like the 50s and the 60s when the DS was in rallying, but then I saw that and I was like, oh wow, this is unique. Hardly anybody has got to know what this livery is. But anyway, that was our move done. Let's see, Dazza got himself a penalty, so that was at this corner, I believe. It was lap 2 where we looked behind and saw that he did indeed have a penalty, and there is his half second, so we are going to have to slow it down, see where he picked up that penalty. I think it was for cutting turn 7 here, so let's see what he does. We're going to go through frame by frame, because it didn't really look like initially that he did cut it, so we're looking for the tyres to stay on the white part of the curbing. I mean, you're looking at this line and you're thinking, well, he's clearly cutting the corner. In terms of the specified track limits, though, this white apron, I think you'd call it, on the other side of this orange sausage curb, is counted as within track limits, so as long as you're touching that, you're fine. But I think as we skip through here, it's about there, almost like where it was behind the bollard where you couldn't see, but we'll jump down using the camera. I think it's here. I think he just about, it looks like his tyre is sort of bulged up over the top of the white line, but I think in terms of what is contacting the ground, he was just about cutting. He was just about completely off that white part of the track there. So that was him. He's about to serve that penalty now, and you'll see that coming through here. And I managed to catch this as well. It looks like, I guess we'll call him Sledge. Got himself a 1 second penalty, and then this was, I skipped this part out of the race because he wasn't really in contention for this victory. There wasn't much point in showing it, but he serves that 1 second, and it looks like he got a 1 second immediately after. I think he's done the same mistake. I think he's run a bit too wide out of turn 7. You can get away with running wide there. If you run just beyond the curb, you'll get dirty tyres, but then if you run fully into the red painted section, you'll get yourself a penalty, and I think Sledge has done that on 2 occasions in a row. 1 second penalty, and then he did it again, served the 1 second, and he got dished out the second 1 second penalty immediately after serving it. So, but it looks like he manages to keep it within the limits on that particular time, and he's going to serve that second 1 second penalty. That is going to cost him another couple of positions by the looks of it. Jazz 1600 gets past, and I think that's it. Just lost the 1 position actually. Immediately past Jazz though. Have a look at that. So it looks like Jazz makes a bit of a mistake at turn 8. So let's have a look and see what they did. On the brakes, nice and smoothly. Actually, just on the brakes too late. You can see he has to slow right down to 90 k's an hour to ensure he doesn't run off the outside onto the grass. So he just doesn't take that apex properly, and that just lost him all his momentum. Sledge managed to carry the momentum, get straight past Jazz, back up into the podium, but looks like he's made a bit of a mistake through here, which is strange because it's a really easy part of the track. But actually that was strange. If you have a look at his telemetry, it's stuck, so he's stuck at 100% throttle. He's stuck at about, I don't even know how you describe it, just like he's stuck with steering angle to the left. You can see that red dot is completely stopped, so obviously there's been some sort of controller issue. Maybe his controller disconnected or his wheel disconnected, and he's just sent it off the track. That's actually quite unlucky, to be honest. Check out those front wheels, still trying to pull the Citroen DS along. But he wasn't able, he disconnected, he wasn't able to finish the race, so that's quite unfortunate for our mate Sledge. But I did also catch that Bob got a penalty, and I mean, that's as clear as day. That's as clear as day too. He's cut the inside and run out beyond the red curbing and got himself a 1 second penalty for his troubles, maybe half a second penalty for each of the breaches. But let's see what he does as he comes to serve that penalty again. It looks like he cuts it again. He doesn't run wide, but he does get himself another second, so he's got a 2 second penalty to serve. So Bob's been absolutely shafted in this race, which is quite unlucky, but, you know, look, yeah, quite unlucky for him, and he definitely paid the price for his qualification mistake. But it looks like he got another penalty before the end of the race, and I think it's here. He must have cut the inside because it didn't look like he ran wide enough to get himself a penalty for running wide, so he must have cut the inside. He is going to have to serve that on the final lap, and I believe it's going to cost him a further position as he rounds this corner here. Make sure he doesn't get any further penalties. Wow, it's very close to the inside. Hopefully that penalty doesn't increase by any more for him as we head up to the penalty. Oh, it actually does. It actually does. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, he loses that position down into 8th. And that was the end. That was pretty much all the drama that went on in that race. As you can see, we've finished the race up here. We've finished and in the victory, in the first position, which is where you want to be finishing these races. But that's pretty much everything that happened. I didn't do another slot because I wasn't available. So 194 points is all I managed for round number 1. Now the interesting thing about this Nations Cup as well, a 4-round championship. I didn't do round 2 because I was doing Giffo's Fuji race. I did a live stream of that on the Saturday where round number 2 of Nations Cup was taking place, so I obviously skipped that one. Round number 3 was Fisherman's Ranch in Group B. You won't catch me anywhere near that. And then round number 4 actually happened yesterday at the time of recording. It was Group 2 actually at Sardinia Road Track A, and the quirk for that was that we were able to adjust our downforce levels. So the Medicar was the Mercedes CLK LM in Group 2, and I did do one slot of that, and I only got 209 points for it. I can't see myself making a video out of it because I, once again, only did the one slot, and it was because I wasn't actually feeling 100% yesterday when I was doing the race. I wasn't feeling 100%, I didn't have the energy, I didn't have the concentration level, so I was like, look, I'm not going to force it, you know, if it's just not going to work out for me today, I'm not going to do the slot, not going to do the round, and that's what happened. So really this is it for Season 3 of the Nations Cup, and I'm expecting the next season to actually be the official championship. I swear, if we see a Season 4 exhibition, I'm going to lose my mind, but anyway, that's going to round out this video today, so do hit the like button if you enjoyed, and do subscribe if you'd like to see more videos and streams from me. Do leave a comment as well, as questions, comments, and constructive criticism, as always, are very much appreciated. But that's going to be the end of this one today, and that means that is it from me. So once again, I do thank you very much for watching. See you later.